Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rossy Rivera, and for today's little advent calendar gift or project, we're making this little sheep, but this time it's standing up. So we're going to start, and as always, we have this little printable template that you can find on our website. You can download it at rossyrivera.com. I've also added the link in the description box below. And since this is a small gift we're sharing, this is completely free right now. I hope you like this project. Let's get started. For the face, just like we did for the previous sheep on day 11, so we're just going to use 1/8 of a teaspoon, kneading that thoroughly, forming it into a ball, making it a little flat, and then highlighting the face shape. Just trying to highlight the cheeks and that area for the nose. And then I just add the little line down the middle of the snout. And for the ears, you can always just calculate it so they're proportionate to the rest of the head. But if you want a measurement, you can just cut 1/8 of a teaspoon into 32 pieces. And we're only going to use one of those 32 pieces as each ear. So I just made them into a little ball, then flat, and then gave them that sort of drop shape. And now we can go on to the nose, and for that we're doing something similar. So getting 1/8 of a teaspoon and cutting it into 32 pieces. And from those 32 we're going to need 4 for the hooves afterwards and 1 for the nose. So I'm just setting apart the ones for the hooves right now. Now we're getting a little bit of glue, just dabbing it on that top of the snout right there, like this. And now we're just going to make 2 holes for where the eyes are going to go using my rubber brush, just like we did for the other sheep. And I'm just using these 2 very tiny balls of cold porcelain clay in black, and then just adding a little bit of glue into those holes we made earlier and placing those eyes right where they belong. Now I have the ears here, so I'm just going to make a little curve to give it that ear shape, and then folding it at their smallest point. And we're going to do the same thing for the other one, giving it that curve, folding it together, and then just placing it on the other side of the head. I'm always just trying to keep one lifted and the other one just slightly curved, just to give our little sheep a little bit more personality. But it's completely up to you how you want to place the ears. Now I'm going to place the head on a toothpick just so it's easier to work on the rest of it. So I'm going to start adding the wool, and for that I'm going to need 1/8 of a teaspoon in white cold porcelain clay. Cut that in half, and we're only going to be using one of these halves right now. Now we're going to shape that into a ball, then make it flat, and then add these 2 lines to get a sort of cloud shape. And then from the other half we left behind, I'm going to make 2 small balls of clay just so I can use them to make the eyebrows. So I'm just making them a little bit like a cylinder, a little bit elongated, but not pointy on both ends. And then just placing them right above the eyes. And now I'm going to place the wool on the top of the head and going all the way to the back. And then we're going to give it some texture like we did with our previous sheep. Just going in and making some spirals. I'm using a star tool for this. You can also use a toothpick, and even a crochet needle will work for this. And I'm just going to do this all the way to the back. And once we're done, it's going to look like this. Now I'm just going to go in and add some shading. I'm using this pink eyeshadow, and I'm going in, adding some color to the cheeks. And now I'm going to set that aside for a bit so I can start working on the body of our sheep. Now with another 1/8 of a teaspoon in that same color we use for the face or the head, I'm going to just stretch that out and cut it into 4 pieces. Now we're going to make all 4 paws, 4 legs, I should say. And again, just making them, kneading them thoroughly, forming them into a ball, and then stretching them out into this sort of drop shape. And they're all four of them are going to be made the same way. And now that you have them here, we can go in at the hoofs that we set apart earlier. I'm just making them a little round and then a little flat. But since we need our little sheep to be able to stand up properly, I'm going to add a little bit of wire onto the legs, letting it stick out a little bit at the top so we can use that to attach them to the body. And we're going to start cutting. At the bottom part of the leg, we're going to cut it right against the clay. Since remember that the clay can shrink a little bit, and if we leave too much out, it's definitely going to be sticking out in the end. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue and attaching the hoof right at the lower part of the leg and making one line just to give it that detail. And we're going to do the same for all of these, just adding the wire and then pasting the hoof into place. Once we have all 4 done, we're going to measure 1/4 of a teaspoon for the body. We're going to knead that thoroughly and get an extra piece for the tail. And for the main body, we're just shaping that into a ball. Then make it sort of a cylinder, just like this. And once we have that ready, we can go in that texture just like we did for the top of the head and the sheep on day 11. And just making spirals all around the body to give it that sort of texture like wool. And I'm just going to do that all around. Once we're done with that all around, we can go in and attach the legs. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue and then placing them so they're evenly distributed, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, and trying to keep them the same length just to make sure our little sheep can stand up. And then once we've added the ones at the front, I'm just adding some more texture to sort of make the chest stand out a little bit. And then I can go in and add the ones at the back. And I'm just gonna expose a little bit more of the wire and then cut it a little bit. For the ones in the front, we're fine since we're gonna have to add the head at the top afterwards. But on these ones at the back, we want to make sure the wire doesn't stick out of the body. There we go. Now I'm just testing to make sure the sheep can stand on its own. And once that works, I'm just going to go back in and work on those spirals one more time. Just like this. And again, always standing it up just to make sure it can stand. Then for that extra piece we set aside for the tail, I formed that into a ball, then into sort of a drop shape. And now I'm just going in and adding some texture. Just like this. And now dabbing it on a little bit of glue and then attaching it to the back of the body. And I'm just very lightly blending it together. Just like this. And now we have the complete body of our sheep ready. Now we just have to go in and attach the head. We remove it from the toothpick, add a little bit of glue in that hole we have left behind, and then we're going to place it at the top of the body. And I want this sheep facing forwards. You can also just have it face to the sides and then let it dry in place. Again, just going back in on that chest and adding some texture and detail. Just like this. And that's it. Now we have our little standing sheep ready. She's going to be right next to our shepherd and our other sitting sheep. And that's it. I really hope you like this project. Thank you as always for joining me and watching our tutorials. My name is Rossy. Many blessings.